Hello and welcome back to the podcast. This is our going to be our post-trade deadline thing. Even though it's been like, when was it? It was like
A few days, isn't it? 4 days or
three,
so.
4 days. So well, not too late actually.
Yeah, what our
Um,
standards.
no, a lot more happened than was like expected, wasn't it? Or well, it looked like it was going to happen like a couple of days before.
Yeah, yeah, it was relatively active. I mean, there was still a few big teams that didn't do anything,
Yeah, um,
but and I guess we'll come on to it. I'm kind of skeptical if any of the moves made make that much difference.
no, that is the
Um,
thing. To teams that actually matter as well.
yeah, because yeah, I meant to like this season. I mean, longer term, obviously, some of the others will, but I think,
Yeah.
well, yeah, the biggest trade was between two teams that are absolutely rubbish. So that's part of the
Yeah,
reason.
I guess the Marcus Morris one's probably the one that makes the biggest difference this year.
Yeah, and even that is a bit meh, I
Oh, I
think.
think it's quite a big upgrade. Um, what was it? It was Maurice was it Harkless?
Yeah, Harkless, and they had to deal Jerome Robinson as well, who
Yeah,
went to Washington, and they
both
gave
of
up their first round pick.
both who hadn't really been very productive.
Yeah,
Wasn't Harkless is basically just like a plays quite a lot of minutes, but he's just a bit of one a bit just like a solid player, but doesn't score much.
yeah,
Just a
Morris.
bit of all round sort of thing.
Yeah, Morris is helpful enough, and defensively, I think is the most important thing. I don't think he's going to shoot as well from three as he has. That seems unlikely.
Well,
I mean,
no,
like 43% is just
yeah,
ridiculous.
I guess that they can't really be expecting that.
No,
It's like anyone
um,
unless you're Steph Curry that is shooting 43% at this point of the season. It's very unlikely you're going to shoot that well for the rest of the season. You know what I mean? That's like almost certainly like an outlier because
yeah, is another.
just nobody really shoots that well for a whole season much anyway.
Yeah, his fit offensively, I'm not. It depends if he's okay with just doing catch and shoot stuff and kind of spacing the floor a
Yeah,
bit. Because there have been times in the past where he's wanted to do more with the ball than he probably should try and do.
yeah, but
And
I
then you
guess
end up,
that's the thing as well. Of basically part of the reason they have traded for him, and maybe part of the reason they gave up as much as they would have done, they have done, um, is because he's had like his best year offensively. But like a lot of that will be because he was playing for the Knicks and he was allowed to do stuff. He was like um, playing like he's the star on the team when really he's not really good enough to do that on any other team in the league.
well, basically, if he's your star offensive player, you end up being the Knicks.
Yeah,
Absolutely crap.
yeah, and it's sort of one of those things. It's a bit like the reason they traded for him. Um, this one thing, but they're probably gonna use him for something completely different to what he has been doing and why
Yeah,
he's actually put good numbers up this year. I mean, it's probably not that unrealistic to expect, like, hope or expect that he shoots like 380 or 390, the 3 point percentage. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, 38%, I suppose. Because that wouldn't be. I mean, that would be good, wouldn't it? That's like they just added another shooter who can, is also just a decent-ish all-round player.
he's a guy who can guard LeBron as well. I mean, that's helpful.
Yeah,
The weird thing with that one though is that that's been a lot of the trade is that he's a body you can throw at LeBron or those sort of big wing type guys. The trouble is they already have like two of the best for doing that. It feels a bit like
yeah,
reinforcing a strength in that sense to me.
yeah. I guess so.
I know that's the key is wings and guards are who like run the league now, but I'm still skeptical of them in the middle. Like how's that going to work out?
Yeah, because well, they can put like three wings on LeBron or something, but there's also Anthony Davis.
Well,
You
and
know,
actually in the West in general, I mean, Gobert's not exactly the most polished defensive player, but he's still absolutely enormous.
yeah. And that is the thing actually, though, is they. I was going to say that well, those players weren't really available, but they did actually move, didn't they? Although I guess um, they were just on too much money.
Yeah, well, that's why the Tristan Thompson thing's interesting, I think. Is he's apparently not going to get bought out or doesn't want one, but it remains to be seen if that actually is the case, considering Cleveland's whatever they're doing over there.
Yeah,
Um,
just
because
we're
he would
really
be so
bad.
perfect.
Let's just add another centre, add
Yeah,
another big man, but an even more limited one. Seems to be their strategy.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
can't blame them though. I mean, they didn't really have
yeah,
any reason not to. Didn't really cost them anything at all.
I guess so. Yeah, yeah. I don't see what they get out of it either, though. Like there's like no. All they've done is they've sort of tied up more money, haven't they?
Yeah, but money they probably weren't going to do much with anyway.
Yeah,
I shrug at that trade. I sort of was in disbelief when I first saw it. And then when I realized just how little Cleveland had given up, it was like, okay, I mean, I guess you can try him out for a while.
what did
And
they
then
actually
maybe
give up?
it was two expirings of players that are irrelevant, Knight and Henson, I think it was, and a like nothing second round pick.
Okay, so it's pretty much a second round pick, I guess, because the other guys sound like they just almost don't have any trade value. It's Andre Drummond we're talking about, by the way, because we didn't. I don't think we've actually mentioned that. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very, very weird trade. It's I get it though for Cleveland. I mean, I guess they try him out, they see how it works, they see if they can play him and Love
yeah,
together. If he's okay playing with their two young guards, and then maybe they give him some money in the summer. I mean, it just
yeah. I
he's
can
going to get too much money,
I can
basically.
sort of see. I mean, if Sexton is actually going to develop like a brain at any point, which is really what the problem with him has been, hasn't it, so far? Is like he's just. I mean, for a point guard, particularly, like just not any awareness or passing the ball or anything. But that the sort of player that he's meant to be, that is almost like that is almost the prototypical fit, really, with that sort of player he's meant to be, of like a small point guard dribbling around, and he can um, you know put up screens, pick and roll and stuff, and like a lot he's a lob threat, isn't he?
Yeah,
So that's he does sort of fit with what Sexton is meant to be, but he just I guess Sexton just isn't really that at the moment. But
well, it might be better. It remains to be seen how the fit works with Sexton and Garland. It might work. It seems quite likely that Garland will end up being the long-term point guard, I think, and the Sexton's going to have to play off ball a bit more because just looking at his numbers are atrocious as a playmaker. 2.6 assists per game and 2.2 turnovers. That's horrendous. That's just like don't
yeah,
let him have the ball.
that's not being a point guard, is it?
No, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much more I have to say on the Drummond trade. It's like I think it was Bobby Marks said it was like you lease a car for a while before you decide if you want to buy it. It was like doing that,
Yeah,
and that's okay. I don't think they should buy it at the end, but I think they might because Drummond is an all-star, but albeit like the least flashy all-star you can imagine. It is weird is the only way to describe it. It's kind of amusingly weird.
yeah. Especially if they're going to keep Thompson, or I
Yeah,
mean, if he's going to stay there, like I don't know. I guess, like you say, it's just sort of they're in a really terrible spot. So it's just they can't really lose anything. Not really got anything to lose. So it's front offices just sort of moving stuff around to that when they're just hoping somehow they're in a better position afterwards.
yeah. and I can't really blame them
Yeah,
for wanting to do that. I think we started off on the Thompson thing. It's a case of with him. I'm just going to double check if he's been playing. So he came off the bench. They played last night. He came off the bench for 19 minutes. Rich Paul, I think, in fact, even said that he's not going to ask for a buyout, which is interesting. And also, I just find it hard to believe. It doesn't make any sense not to want one. He's now going to move to the bench, playing less minutes. I don't know why he'd stay in Cleveland. They're absolutely rubbish, like spectacularly bad.
yeah,
And he'd be really highly sought after if he was made available. I think, well, particularly the Clippers and the Celtics come to mind.
yeah.
They'd be desperate to add him.
Because that is the thing, isn't it? With those two teams in particular, that although they are obviously very complete in every other way, um, it's hard to see them like. I know it's hard to see them really doing that well in the playoffs, like actually winning everything when you've not got even just a big guy as centre. Well, I guess they do have big guy, but a guy of a certain quality, at least defensively, because otherwise you think you're just going to get dominated by like you come up against Embiid or Anthony Davis.
Yeah, or
any of those
I
sort
should have
of guys.
mentioned I should have mentioned the Rockets in that list as well, actually.
Yeah,
But
but they just traded Clint Capella.
yeah, but if they could get a guy for free, then I'm sure they'd be interested in doing
Yeah,
it. They were pursuing a trade for Tristan Thompson, I think, but couldn't get the money to work. Um, so I don't know. I just don't get it. I sort of don't believe it. I'll have to get past the playoff roster deadline before I believe that Tristan Thompson's not going to end up on a playoff team. He got
yeah,
so much going for him if he did get bought out.
um, yeah. But basically, as much as anything, of the teams that really need them, teams that are trying to be really competitive, really having a weakness in that role.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you watched much NBA recently? Actually,
Yeah, I've watched a fair bit.
I
Watched a
watched.
fair bit when I can.
I I ended up watching a couple of Sixers games recently, actually, just because they happened to be on at a good time. And Embiid really is not at it at all at the moment.
No,
I don't know if you've
no,
seen.
he's
You've
struggling.
watched
He's
him at
still
all.
struggling with his hand a bit, isn't he? I think
Yeah,
is the problem.
it's just sort of like he's not. He's just sort of like just not being aggressive at all at the rim. Like he's getting in the post, posting someone up, and generally it's like someone he's way bigger than. Like when he's good, like on form, you think that's just is a mismatch. And he's going to score. And it's the game I watched the other day. I think he was like, I don't know whether it was for the whole game, but it was like at half time, it was like 1 for 10 or something. And most of his shots had come from like when he's posted up against someone, um, and just like post up against someone smaller than him, and ending up just like settling for some like fade away.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, they're sort of in a bit of a mess at the moment. The Sixers.
Th-
Uh, but
they're
yeah,
an
got a
interesting
while.
team as well at the deadline, weren't they? Because they got two shooters, which sounds good, but also once they get to the playoffs, I don't know how many minutes Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson III are actually going to play for them.
Yeah, it's basically like they upgraded a couple of their bench guys, isn't it? Is what happened.
Yeah, but I mean, those two have
Yeah,
actually played really well for the Warriors this year, but it's just one of those things like when their team is on such a slide, I think they have to
yeah,
run it out. They made such an effort to put this team together last summer. They're going to run
yeah,
it through this season. But the way it's looking at the moment, you're kind of expecting them to go out in the first round.
yeah. Maybe. Although they have still mostly had a good record against other good teams, haven't they? Although, well, only when they're at home. But
Yeah, because on the road they've been so spectacularly terrible.
yeah,
That
I think those trades they did